Is SPY setting up for another trend leg? Let's find out here. But first, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. It is January 16th, 2025. And Spider's here today, basically flat. We're seeing the Qs down just 1/4%. The Dow down 15 basis points. And oh, what's this? Everybody's favorite. The Russell is green and leading the tape here. So markets today really quiet. You can see on the Spider here, 24 million shares traded. So very, very light volume. And if we take a look at ES here, and I'll clean up my day trading lines there for you. If we look at ES here, again, overnight, kind of a little float higher, just got a little extended there, after a, what was it, 55.80 to, basically 120 point rally. So a little bit of pulling back, a little bit of backing and failing. You'd even make a case we're kind of flagging here on the ES, including the overnight there. So bulls trying to hold up here. And I think right now the macro pivot, and well, actually, you guys know, I think the macro pivot is this big yellow trend line. Been talking about that for literally the last 2 weeks, ever since we back checked to it. And we put in a higher low, went basically right back up to it. Lower low liquidity grab, and good price action here since. But do they back this off first, or are we looking at a tag of that first? That's really the $64,000 question, right? And right now, we don't really have an answer. I mean, tomorrow's OPEX for the month of January. It's also a leap expiration. So a lot of premium expiring there. And I'm already seeing a lot of shady stuff go on in a lot of different stocks. But right now, we're kind of just in this range. And until we get a break, we don't really have too much to do. But right now, I think at this area, I mean, it could be a fade. But I just want to warn you here. I'm just going to use ES again. Sorry. I like to cycle through my S&P products. But, the 618's right there. You got a beautiful red bar pivot and this yellow trend line with the 4-hour 200 MA. But I would be really careful fading this tape right now. Not necessarily saying you can't do it, but I would just be careful. Don't look for a home run. Why am I saying this? So let's take a look here. If I can find my own post. So AAII, you guys know this is a good sentiment indicator. That's the lowest the bulls have been and the highest bears have ever been since, guess when? Let's do a drum roll here. Right. November 2nd, right there. That is insane. I thought, you guys know I've been calling for kind of a squeeze here. That is people are way more bearish than I thought. So I would be careful here. And by the way, I'm not the only one pointing this 618 out in that red bar there. But, shouldn't it just hold because it's resistance? It should, right, technically, but what about this 618 that, gave you one little intraday pivot and then we just blew through it? So be careful falling in love with these. 618 do anything there? Absolutely not. It did right here. Yeah, so you got it right there, it got close. But I'd be careful. That's a big contrarian indicator, and I'm not one to fade that. Additionally, you may have seen that little other chart there. I think I talked about this. Yeah, I have talked about it in the last couple of days. But IWM looks pretty much like a textbook Wyckoff pattern here. So down, there's the spring, up, and now you're just kind of consolidating sideways. Even the ES kind of looks similar. But look at what IWM is doing. Remember, we talked about 225 over and over and over and over again. There it is. Boom, low, spring, and now we're consolidating. I think after OPEX, we could see some moves in the other direction here, we'll say. But right now, market's holding up. Retest levels. Right now, 5,900 SPX for SPY, 585 area. There's definitely a point of interest. And maybe like 587, 588. That should line up with 5,900. So those are some downside targets. We could also, kind of round trip to the head and shoulder neckline. I'm kind of not so much in that camp right now, but right now markets are, chopping around here, and they really burned out a lot of calls here on the way down, and it seems like some puts getting burned out here too. So those are the levels we're watching. Definitely a little bit of weakness here in certain Mag 7 names like Apple. I think this is really contrived. UNH reported earnings today. I think this is interesting. If that can put in a higher low at 500, I think a lot of this is OPEX action. And I'm willing to bet that the algos are programmed to slam this regardless of what their earnings looks like. I think Apple's getting kind of intriguing as well. I'd really like it if they just slam this tomorrow. I would probably get interested in Apple, honestly. But in any case, QQQ, again, no damage here. Again, we've just been talking about this over and over again. No damage. Your falling wedge is perfectly well intact. Your bull flag, whatever you want to call it. And it's acting okay. Could it come back down again? Yes, but you'd want to watch for, does it put in a higher low at either 505 or 510? Right, because if you don't come back down to this trend line again, that's telling you momentum on the sell side is declining, and we're likely going to break up to the upside. That's just generally how falling wedges work anyway. So it looks like this. No lower low. And then it's ready to break. But we'll see here. And IWM, again, 225 through that. And really through after Friday, it appears that some of this like negative gamma gets unclenched. So I would say after Friday, we could see 230. So, next week. Post-inauguration, call it a Trump bump, whatever you want to call it. I don't care about the story. I just care about the charts. I care about dealers, and that's what I'm seeing. We can come up with the narratives for the media. But 225 still the level. It looks like a clean Wyckoff pattern to me. Dow, again, still hanging in there. Again, similar kind of pattern. We hit that trend line up, and now we're just consolidating. No changes. SMH here up 1.2. So again, coming back, we talked about this. If it can, hold back above 250, you can try for 260 again. And it did come off the highs. TSM, a minor red flag here, right? You gapped up on earnings, but you didn't make a new all-time high. Like, what, you couldn't have gone, $4 or $5 more, right? It's a little bit of a red flag. Who knows? It could just close strong tomorrow and take the high out, but I need to have the weekly close, but that doesn't signal impulse. Look at the volume there too. So you had enough volume to push, theoretically. Just a little bit of let's say a yellow flag. You got NVIDIA still showing weakness. I bet this unclenches after tomorrow too. But we'll see. IGV was actually pretty strong. It's been strong in the last 2 days. It did try to peak above that the head and shoulder neckline at 100. Again, it's probably going to pin to 100. So jury will be out on that until next week. You already knew where the DJT was going because I've been telling you for 3 weeks, and there it is at 16.6. We can close above that red bar. That's a big positive. So it's like 16.704 because that would negate the inside pattern on that weekly sell candle. All right, let's flip over to rates here, and there's the dollar, which actually stayed down for once today. Yeah, pretty much stayed down all day long. 30-year pulling back into the 20 DMA. I've been doing a lot of work on TLT the last week or so. There is still some resistance around 87 for tomorrow, but that 85 level I told you about yesterday, that's gone. They're inching that up, and I think this is going to walk up to about $90, not in a straight line, but kind of getting into like next 2 to 4 weeks. So for the yield, 10-year 4.45, 4.5, 30s, 4.65. They can go higher after that. I'm not saying they can't, but I just see this in the near term. And so far, that thesis about bond shorts being way off sides into CPI has been right on the money. 5's down, and this is another thing too. 2's down as well. Off of jobless claims this morning. We haven't seen the 2's move, right? They've been in this tight range, and we're going to fail that inside bar right now. And you don't want to lose this one, 4.211, sorry. Because that could take you back down to, 4 to 4.1. So that would unwind the curves a little bit with the long end coming down this time. Waller was out there this morning kind of talking, nonsense. I don't make too much out of it. Fed heads used to move the market. Now they don't anymore. XHB fractionally high, well, up 0.5%. If this consolidates for another day, it can break this area. I'm not saying it will, I'm just saying that's what it can do. VNQ, same exact thing. So flush, nice recovery. I'd say another day or so can go through that. More banks reporting. XLF, again, we talked about this. We closed above the high, so that's a positive. Excuse me, closed above the FOMC breakdown bar. Big positive to see financials do that. Don't ignore it. So XLF hanging in there. I think, yeah, Morgan Stanley reported. That's inching up near the highs too. KRE, same thing as VNQ, XHB, and really like IWM. Another day or two in this range, it can go higher. That's true for KBE. And broker dealers just go higher no matter what. So why do I even bother? Why even bother bringing them up? They're just going to go up every day. But no, anyway, oil down 1.16 here. Contract gap there. Don't make anything out of that. You can see the adjusted though. Down 1.16. It's first day of contract, last day of contract. We had a big pump on the last day. A little bit of a retrace today. I won't make a ton out of it. But we are close to 52-week highs in crude futures. XLE, I told you guys to watch for 93. It got there. And it's just backing off a little bit here as we get close to the end of the day. It might go to 95. I don't know. That's going to be a lot to ask for tomorrow. But it might go up there anyway. I think it goes up. I think it makes new all-time highs regardless. But in the short term, I think probably a cap at 93. We'll see. XOP, fractionally higher as well. That one's, again, looking top heavy also. OIH didn't quite get to 300, but if it does, I think that's it for that. CCJ, that bounced around a little bit intraday. Again, nothing going on in the uranium space here, at least for these names. And I haven't really been covering them too much lately because there's not much to talk about. Nat gas continuing up. So we said above 420. There it is, 431. Still not above that high, but it did break that level, and it's threatening here. Threatening a new weekly close. Look at that weekly candle. So threatening a new weekly closing high here. And the dollar, I mentioned that a minute ago, it finally sold, pretty much all day. I mean, it came off the lows because it would be a crime if like any 2-cent dip in the dollar didn't get bought at this point. Like literally, look at this thing. But it was down. No technical damage though. Let me go here. Let me use my trading view. I have the lines updated a little bit better. So if you missed the video yesterday, we're watching this trend line very closely now. A break of that. Again, it doesn't mean you're going to melt down, but it does indicate that you're probably in backing and filling mode. So that's been the uptrend since the lows, right? We made new lows there. Oh, we challenged the lows there. That's been this bull run. But dollar holding up. It is down though. We'll see. Trump may try to talk it down for inauguration. I don't know if it's going to work, but holding up. Gold here up 1.1. We did take some profit today on UGL. So that was working out nicely, and I think this is going to 3K, not in a straight line. I think it's going to 3K, probably like quarter two. Silver up 0.25%. Nothing great, came off the highs. Platinum, a little bit weaker here. I told you today that palladium would be down. Don't ask me how I know that, I just did. Seriously, there's no secret. I just have watched this asset so many hours, so many days, etc. in the last 15 years. Maybe you just pick things up. Let's call it subconscious intuition. Copper here up almost 5 cents, but to the 445 area, 200 DMA, a little bit of resistance in here. Actually, good amount of resistance. We've had a nice run, but it is a commodity, so it might just say, screw you, we're just going to overshoot. By the way, that's going to be a failed weekly inside bar on copper. So that's why it might overshoot and just go right up to 4.6 or 4.7. Copper's still strong. Bitcoin hanging in there again, just hammering on 100K. So again, no problems. Nothing's changed from yesterday. Still like the weekly, and yeah, I'd say another week or so this can break out if it wants to. So nothing to report there, but it's been leading. It's been leading the tape. And I've been seeing dips bought early. It likes to dip in the morning and then buy the dip pretty hard. Again, notice here the Russell, higher lows in the session, lower lows on the spiders, lower lows on the Qs, about a double bottom on the diamond. So this is showing relative strength. Again, not something to fade. ES here, that's still the big macro trend line. I think we will get up there. It's just a matter of when. But I don't know if I'm, I might scalp it. I don't know if I'm looking to really fade it hard though. That AAII reading legitimately scares me to be short because that just tells me everybody's betting on recession and inflation and whatever other narrative they want to come up with. So anyways, guys, I will wrap it up here. Again, you guys take care. Don't forget to come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I'll see you guys all tomorrow.